Terrible.
I know, but Washington's even worse. I think that teams are ready to give up.
They almost beat the Giants.
No, they didn't. Giants still covered the spread.
So last week, a recap of last week, we were a big 1-3, almost goose egg, piece of shit week. What happened?
Hey, I thought the picks were good picks, and I think Brian will stand by that too. I think he was running into some bad luck. The Patriots kind of coughed it up at the end, and the Bills literally coughed it up at the end of that game. That was so frustrating to watch, the way they fumbled around. But I believe they were good picks. I don't know what happened, but I think we should go at least 3-1 last week. I would pick those games again.
After I did a little soul searching after our 1-3, and I figured out maybe next year me and Dan should look into high school football. So this week, St. Joe's Prep is playing Neshaminy in the Pennsylvania State Championship football game. The spread is St. Joe's Prep -10, and me and Dan like St. Joe's Prep.
Oh, finally you agree to play in your league. It's about time.
Yeah.
Do something that's achievable at least, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'd like to say that me and Dan are about as good with picks as you are producing this show.
Yeah.
This is not part of the show.
You need to put in some weight.
Actually, Brian, that's not true. It's just because you're a baby about going home for your bedtime that I haven't had time to do any of this shit.
Yeah, good one.
Because I just got home, actually. So I just had. It's not that I'm bad at it. I just haven't had time to do it.
Scott, every week we have technical difficulties.
That's because you cry, because like you're riding the cotton pony, and we can't, and I can't have time.
For all you women in the audience, don't take offense to what my idiot brother says.
Gentlemen,
it's a Kentucky Derby.
it's easy to add up the overall wins. Actually, adding one to a number is pretty easy, actually. So 22 plus 1 equals 23. With a loss of 29. And now the guarantees, the big D is going to 3 and 10. And the big B is going to 6 and 7. So we're both a loss for the guaranteed picks as well, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, losers.
Yeah.
Well, that is why, folks. That is why I threw in that bonus high school pick. Me and Dan, scouted out St. Joe's Prep.
But in the words of Brian O'Hearn, this season we're taking a mulligan on the season. On all our picks. Complete mulligan.
We're not going to go with our guts anymore. We're
not going to say the other team is mad, so they're going to play well.
Yeah, and the such and such player just had a death in his hand.
Here we go.
I'm sure they're going to win.
Not going to hear the end of that. Oh, man. I thought that was going to work.
I like to point out that Dan is right, though. Our picks, I felt good about our picks last week. San Diego had just beaten the Chiefs. They were playing at home. Bengals had to go cross country. What was your pick?
New England.
New England was playing Houston. Houston's terrible. We had Buffalo.
Buffalo, that was ridiculous. Buffalo.
Of all teams.
New England won, fellas. New England won, did they?
I know, but they did, but they didn't cover.
They didn't cover 7.
It's about covering. That's right. It's not about who wins.
But we're just saying.
It's about covering spreads.
I'm just saying they were up by 7. They should have won by at least 10 in that game. They had it in control. Come on, the Texans fired their coach today.
Hypothetically, what if a person watched our show and decided to put all their money on that one game we got right, the Giants?
They'd be millionaires.
That's saying something.
That's right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Dan?
that's right.
They would be millionaires.
Yeah,
man,
right.
So screw you, Scott.
Yeah, and screw all the angry voicemails and emails that came into the Big Pick 4 home office.
That's right, including Ed Coon's angry email.
Ed Coon, yeah, he defended his Little League again today.
We're going to be 1-0 after the high school state champion Pennsylvania.
That's right.
We're going to be 1-0, baby. Go St. Joe's Hawks.
Sure they're the Hawks?
I think so.
I don't know. Who cares?
So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we will start week 14 with the Vag of the Week.
Bills head coach Doug Marrone. At the end of the game, he first threw his hat onto the field and got all red in the face. And then in his post-game press conference, the guy was this close to tears after losing the game to the Falcons. He looked like he was ready to burst and cry. Come on, man. You're a professional football coach. You can't cry.
I believe he's the second or third
Yeah,
time.
the second or third time for crying. He cries after he loses a game. Now, granted, you're in Buffalo. You should probably get a lot of practice crying because you're going to lose a lot because you're the Buffalo Bills. But come on,
the good news
what
is
a dork.
Yeah, the good news is he won't have far to travel when he comes to accept his Vag of the Year award.
What do you mean? Buffalo's like 10 hours, 12, 11 hours driving from here. No. But, it's like, you can't cry. What does that tell your players? Because these guys are tough guys. And if they see their coach crying like that, I just don't see how that helps. I mean, Dick Vermeil was the king of crying. He cried all the time, but he had a little more respect, and he was in the league for a while longer than this Doug Marrone guy, who has won nothing. I was just disappointed. I was just thinking, you just can't act this way. You need to be angry after you lose. You need to punch somebody. You can't cry. So he wins this week.
So we will now have the first combined pick for week 14 from Danny D.
All right, our first combined pick is Carolina versus New Orleans. New Orleans is favored by 3. We are going to take New Orleans. We believe that they'll be angry. They'll be mad after what happened last week. No, I mean, this is a big game. It's the big division game. They play the Panthers, I think, twice in the next 3 or 4 weeks here. This is a game they really have to win if they want to maintain a chance at the number 2 seed in the conference. Because you can see they obviously have their problems on the road and their problems in weather. They had a problem a few weeks ago against the Jets, who obviously suck, in a windy and chilly day in New York. And then they had problems in Seattle. It was like rainy and snowy and cold, and they just couldn't take it. And the other problem they had was with the noise. And I think John Gruden came up with an excellent point, talking about how the New Orleans switches personnel every play. So Breeze has to communicate to a new group to play every time. Instead of some other teams, say like the Broncos, who basically just stay out there, the same guys. And that way Manning can just keep going with the plays, not worry about changing personnel, and then the crowd take over. But anyway, we believe that New Orleans will have a bounce-back week this week. They'll be playing at home from their crowd. They've been very, very good at home this season. I understand Carolina has a top-ranked defense. But if you can block their front four, their secondary is vulnerable. So I think the receivers will have a good game. I'm not sure Graham will. Their linebackers aren't bad. But we believe that New Orleans can come back, win this week, and get back on track. And, it's -3. It's not a big spread. And, I think they can cover it. I think it'll be a close game, but I think they win by 5 or 6 points. So take New Orleans.
So how tall is Cam Newton?
6'4", 6'5".
They just did a thing last week about quarterbacks under 6 foot, and Breeze is still behind Fran Tarkenton. Keep that in mind.
Tarkenton for what?
For stats for quarterbacks under 6 foot in the NFL.
He just passed him. He came in like a 3rd place all time or 4th place in passing yards.
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about?
And he has more touchdown passes than him. He has less interceptions than Tarkenton. He won a Super Bowl, which Tarkenton didn't do.
Yeah, we're the gurus, Scott. Lead the stats.
Yeah.
Tarkenton still got something on
probably rushing yards.
Under 6 foot.
It's probably rushing yards. I don't know, concussion.
No, it's something to do with passing. It is something to do with passing.
Interceptions. I bet it's interceptions. There's a lot more interceptions. Fumbles.
Sack.
No, on the positive side.
I don't know.
Who dat? Drew Brees! Oh, yeah.
So you're picking your New Orleans Saints. The Panthers have been on a roll. They're the darling team in the NFL right now. So you're saying that big brother Ryan and his defense are going to crush them, eh?
I didn't say they were going to crush them, but I said they were going to win, and I think they'll cover the spread. It'll still be a 5 to 7 point game, but I just think New Orleans could come out and play really hard after they were just completely thoroughly embarrassed on Monday Night Football. If you have pride as a team, you can come out and play hard. And I think Carolina, they had a tough time on the road against Miami. Miami is no superhero, and I think it's going to be an issue for them playing on that stage on a nationally televised game on the road. And they might come back and beat the New Orleans a couple weeks from now. They played them at home. That wouldn't be shocking to me. But I just think this is a game set up for New Orleans to come back and play really well and win the game. And they've blown out almost every opponent at home except for San Francisco. So, I just don't think they can be shut down 2 weeks in a row. That was the lowest point total they've had since like 2006 or 2005, something like that. It's been a very long time.
I also saw some weird stat that Sean Payton and Drew Brees have won the last 14 games at home or something. When Payton
and they're not going to get half the penalties they had because they're going to go these false start penalties like they had against Seattle because the crowd's going to be for them. I think that's a big factor here. So I understand. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. It's going to be like a 20 to 14 kind of game because Carolina doesn't necessarily have the highest powered offense here. But I just think they can come back and play well and win the game and cover the spread.
So there you have your first combined pick. The Saints. And they are at home or away?
Home. We just went through all that. They're home.
For like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, Producer Scott.
No, my mind works as such. No. I only pick up the important points of anything that is said.
I see.
So we will now have the second combined pick from the Big Buru B. Let's have it.
The second combined pick for Week 14 will be Pittsburgh -3. Miami is visiting Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a home favorite. The only analysis I had right before I came up, NFL Network gave a good stat that Roethlisberger is 4-0 against the Dolphins in his career. I don't know. I just think Pittsburgh, they had a tough loss against Baltimore, but they played well. I think their defense has been playing a lot better lately. I think Miami, I know they've won 2-2 since that whole Jonathan Martin debacle, but I still think that the locker room, there's still a lot of problems. And Pittsburgh's a very tough place to play, and that offensive line for the Dolphins is terrible. I think Tannehill's been sacked the most times in the NFL. So for all those reasons, go with the Berg, baby.
Yeah, this is an elimination game too. Whoever loses this game's probably out of the playoff picture.
Yeah.
And the Steelers are coming off a win, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. No, they lost.
No, they lost.
They lost to Baltimore, 22-20.
But it was a good game though.
They should have tied the game, but and they scored a touchdown 3 times. They should have taken one shot time to do it. But Mike Tomlin cheated, but they still lost.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was looking at the jumbotron, right?
Yeah.
He didn't see the guy coming at him?
No, he decided not to. He decided to stick his foot out.
We will now have a word from our sponsor.
Back in Sweden, we like the outdoors. Every day we come out here, whatever the weather. But we are careful with the sunscreen. Fuck the 30. We slop, slip, slap. How can I wear one? I don't even have one. We say, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Take off your cozy.
The Neighbors. Jim Beam. The Bourbon.
Big D guarantee this week. We'll see how that goes. Is Kansas City at Washington, taking Kansas City -3. Kansas City has had a couple tough losses recently, and I understand the defense isn't playing as well. But I think Washington's done. They're going to fire Mike Rat-Faced Red Lobster Shanahan by the end of the season. I mean, his face is the same color as that burgundy coat he was wearing last week. They have dissension on the team. Some of the team is not behind Shanahan. Some of the team is divided by the quarterback. I think some are behind the quarterback. Some are behind the coach. Jim Hassel's defense has been terrible the whole season. I think Kansas City is going to be very motivated for this game. They're playing against a lousy team. They're coming off three tough losses in a row. Two to the Broncos, which cost them the division. The division's out of it right now. I guess they need to try to be the top. They can't get a home playoff game now, but they can try to do as best as they can. And winning these road games is important. As much as I like to see them lose the rest of the season and make Andy Reid look ridiculous, which would be really, really funny. But I believe they're going to cover this week. I think Alex Smith is going to bounce back. The defense will bounce back because they're playing against an inferior team that just doesn't care. They stink. They've lost all these games in a row. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They're done. The coaching staff, most of those guys are going to be gone. I don't think they'll bring any of those guys back. The two Shanahans can go off to wherever they want to go together and get out of Washington. But I just feel that the Chiefs' defense is going to have success against Washington, who's depleted on offense. They lost a couple of their main receivers. And Griffin has not played very well. The offensive line has not played very well. He's been sacked a lot, hit a lot. So I think Tom Bahali will have a big game, and Kansas City will bounce back and win this game and cover the spread.
Well, they're setting themselves up for Joe Gibbs version 3.0 here, because I'm pretty sure Joe Gibbs is going to come back again.
No, I don't think so.
And lead them to victory, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Joe Gibbs anymore. I think he had enough the last time.
Yeah. He likes his cars.
Yeah, he's going to stay in NASCAR. Not going to see him back. The Joe Gibbs train boat has sailed off into the sunset. He's gone.
I think the big news story for the Redskins this year is whether or not they should change their name. I think that's like the highlight of the season.
Yeah. A group of about 8 to 10 religious organizations or religions sent a letter, wrote an op-ed piece in the Washington Post, I think, this past week, asking the Redskins to change their name because they find it extremely offensive. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's not starting to hear it. And I think the league might have enough soon to say, listen, just get this over with already, so we don't have to hear about this anymore.
Well, and you know how pathetic it's gotten that during last week's game they show the sidewall of the stadium and it says Vince Lombardi coached here. Get over it, you know. It's 2013, and they're like, "Whoa!" But Vince Lombardi coached here.
Yeah, that was 40 years ago. It was.
Exactly. That's not where. That's not. He did not. Vince Lombardi did not go into the Hall of Fame as a Redskin. So
no,
there you have it.
No, it wasn't because of the Redskins. They didn't name the trophy after him because of what he did with the Redskins.
Yeah. So let's have the second guaranteed pick from the actual the what do you call it, the senior guaranteed picker of the 2013-14 season, being the Big Brian B.
Yes, I'm almost at 500.
Yes.
The Big B for week 14 is going to be Seattle. They are road underdogs plus 2.5 at San Francisco. Really, I just think Seattle's playing really well. They're coming off a big win against New Orleans. They're just a superior team. I mean, there really isn't much more to say. The offense, defense, special teams. Say it's going to be a tough game. It could be a low-scoring game, 17-14. I just think Seattle's going to win. Unless the only way I could see the 49ers winning is if Seattle turns the ball over 3 or 4 times, but I don't see that happen. They don't. I just think when you're a superior team, the only chance you have to win is either injury or turnovers, and in this case, Russell Wilson doesn't turn the ball over. So I think they're just a superior team, and they're going to win. And I am surprised to see that they were underdogs. I know that's on the road, but I still just think they're a superior team, and even though they're traveling on the road, I think they're going to win. I know they have a tough time on the road. I think they're 500 this year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, they've only lost once the whole season. They're 11-1.
4-1 on the road or something. But last year I think they were.
But I'm just surprised that this line wasn't lower. That it's not like a +1.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised it's that high, plus 2.5.
Yeah. So for basic.
That's a trap line, Danny.
Why?
Well, they're baiting you. They're baiting you to pick the Seahawks because, the Pete Carroll and the the streak they've been on. Yeah.
But
That sounds like a trap line, doesn't it?
I don't know. They've been killing everybody lately. Their defense is good. The offense is good.
Special teams.
They're just rolling
team.
along. They're a better team. I agree with Brian. San Francisco's been inconsistent. They've beaten some lousy teams lately.
Yeah.
Who have they beaten recently?
But they were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, true. But there is just such a thing as a Super Bowl hangover. Super Bowl loser over the last 17 years or so has really struggled the following season. Most of them haven't even made the playoff.
Yeah.
There's something to that. So, I expect Seattle to go in there and win. People are going to say there's a letdown, but I disagree. San Francisco 49ers are their biggest rivals that they have, and they love nothing more than to go out there and beat the hell out of them.
And the thing, too, is they have to keep winning because they want to get home field advantage.
Yeah, because Carolina and or New Orleans will run up their ass.
Yeah.
If they win and they lose, the winner of the New Orleans Saints Carolina game is 10-3,
Yep.
and then Seattle will be 11-2. So they make them play for something. If they win, they clinch a first round bye with this win.
Yep.
And a division. So this is a big game for them.
But the Niners are not out of the playoff hunt, right?
No, they're not. But
I just think, I don't usually say this, but I just think that Seattle is just a superior team. There really isn't much, and I'm not going to compare defense versus offense and all the other nonsense. I just think in this case, it just boils down to Seattle's a better team, and like Dan says, they don't turn the ball over.
and they're a better quarterback.
Yeah, and the only thing that can even out a game when one team is better than the other is turnovers or an injury. In this case, Russell Wilson, he doesn't turn the ball over, so I just think Seattle's going to win, and they'll probably get a couple turnovers because Kaepernick does have a tendency to turn the ball over.
Yeah, and their secondary is going to hold up too against San Francisco.
So for all those reasons, take the road dog. Right? Is that right?
Yep.
Road dog.
So we did get better in the playoffs last year. So maybe the experts, the show talent being the big Danny D and Brian B are getting better now as the season heats up. Maybe they're starting to get into form. Maybe we shouldn't start the show until the wild card hunt starts panning out.
Well, yes, this is what I was thinking about over the weekend. Maybe during the season we could do high school football games, and then when the playoffs come around, we could do the NFL.
Yeah,
games.
right. Skip the first 12 weeks of the NFL season.
Like I said, St. Joe's, baby. Woo-hoo!
How about Cherry Hill East? You don't like them?
Oh yeah, no, they.
But
I was injured.
No, I see.
I would like to say that one of the picks for Big Pick 4 this week was the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, go Chaps.
I think that's like your fourth or fifth time you chose them as your.
And I think I've won most of it. I think it's the only one times I've won.
I will say, in me and Dan's defense, I will also say that we have learned from our mistakes, though. I think the last 5 or 6 weeks. No, I do. We've stayed away from the Bengals. We've stayed away from the Redskins, teams that have burnt us.
Well, we picked against the Redskins this week.
We stayed away from the Browns, have we not?
Yeah.
I think we're learning.
Maybe.
No, it's not against the Redskins. It's when we pick the
Yeah. The other problem, too, is there's so many new head coaches at the beginning of the season. You didn't know what you were going to get for some of these teams.
Yeah.
I had no idea what you're going to get out of some of these teams at all. How it was going to work. And then, like Buffalo, for example, they had a new head coach, a new quarterback. What were you going to get out of them? Who knew?
Yeah.
I mean, it's too many variables sometimes. The Texans, another one. Who the hell thought they were going to be 2-11?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when I'm surprised one of Brian's picks was upon the passing of the great Bum Phillips, I think the team is going to win this week. For the guy in the big 10-gallon hat. How can they lose? It's my gut. It's my gut feeling.
Bum Phillips.
Well, I'm sorry. This is coming from the guy who thinks that Drew Brees doesn't have more passing yards and touchdowns than Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, right. This is the guy who thinks Kyle
I don't
Fuller is
think
still
so.
starting for the Ravens.
Yeah.
But you know what
Kyle
Bum Phillips
Fuller, where
said.
art thou?
Yeah, and this is the guy who thinks the Rams are still in Los Angeles.
But you know what Bum Phillips said? He said, the Cowboys may be America's team, but the Oilers are Texas's team.
Yeah, well, they're not anymore, are they? They've been gone for 18 years now.
So we have some referee commentary on where we are in the season.
You're in the heat of battle. Don't worry about it.
That's right. We're in the heat of battle. Don't worry about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, the chief violator himself will contribute to this week's show with yet another man violation.
Before I do my man violation, I have to preface this by saying, I have to preface this by saying, Dan pointed out I might have used this one already, but if I have used any of my man violations more than once, then what I'm gonna just do is make that a Hall of Fame man violation because that's how bad it is. So if this one for all our regular viewers, all two of you, if this is a repeat.
Hey Brian, I just need to stop you for 1 second. I think we may need to issue the viewers of the show the same eye gear that they wore to watch the nuclear explosions for the Manhattan Project out in the Arizona desert, because the glare off Brian's forehead
Good one.
is similar to that of a nuclear explosion.
Wait, you stopped me for that stupid corny ass joke. That's the man violation of the week. Anyway, the man violation, which Dan says I might have used already, but is that bad, is a male cheerleader. And Dan points out that yes, they get to pick up girls' asses, but it's just male cheerleader. That's all I have to say. They cheer. That's women are cheerleaders, not men. So basically, if you are a male cheerleader out there and you're watching this show, you might want to quit and do something a little more masculine, rugby, football, anything other than being a male cheerleader.
I was actually a male cheerleader, but I was on a mule at the time. So I was pretty much a male cheerleader.
You were a mascot.
As was General Dwight D. Eisenhower.
You were a mascot, Scott. You weren't a male cheerleader. Male cheerleaders are.
I was on the rah-rah squad.
You were a mascot. You walked around in a knight's costume, dude.
No, but I also rode the mule and I would lead cheers.
Well, then fine. You're fucking man violation. I want your man card. I want your fucking man card.
Did the mule enjoy that?
No, let me tell you what happened. Geniuses. Was I would, at halftime, I would take the mule over to the opposing team's sideline and give the cheerleaders rides. And I actually had this incident occur one time where one of the dudes asked me if he could have a ride. Hell no. Hell no. Hell to the no. Of course not. You can't have a ride. I'm here to.
Why didn't you do something more fun and have the mule go over and take a shit in the sideline of the opposing team?
No, but you don't realize that when the female cheerleader from, say, a good example, Wake Forest, got on the back of my mule, what would I do? I would immediately make the mule take off in a dead ass run, where she would grab closely around me, hug me closer to try to not fall off the mule. See, it was a genius operation going on there.
Yeah, right. As Army's probably getting killed 45-0 at halftime.
Scott's getting his rocks off.
There's no picture of me riding a male cheerleader on the mule.
Hey, you get brownie. Hey, Scott, you've earned man points. All right.
Yeah,
Scott?
for riding a mule.
No.
I'm riding a mule.
It's like having a puppy, man. I'm telling you. That was a chick magnet.
You ever let the mule have a turn?
No, but the funniest thing was that a funny story, a guy from the local newspaper came by and gave me a picture, and he said, I wanted to print this in the picture or in the newspaper, but I couldn't. They wouldn't let me. And it was a picture of me and a cheerleader on the mule, and the mule was taking a piss. I mean, a big-ass piss, while the cheerleader was on the back, and the entire crowd was laughing, and the part about the was the cheerleader was looking like, why is everybody laughing? She had no idea. Everybody was laughing because Mule was taking a piss.
I mean, the story wasn't about a local man in costume marries a mule?
The Temple Owl?
Yeah, so it was. It was an awful mascot.
Philadelphia, the Temple Owl? What the hell is that?
I don't know. It's an owl. They named it after John Chaney. He looks like an owl.
That was so stupid, Dan.
He does. He looks like a big owl. You ever see his eyes? Look like his cat eyes.
But
yellow.
what is you marrying a mule have anything to do with the Owl's Temple Owl's mascot?
What does any of this have to do with our show and picking 4 games this weekend? Do with owls and mules.
You started
and
the mule thing, Dan.
No, he
yes, you
did.
No,
he did.
You just did.
I just didn't. He did.
No, you did.
He told us a whole ridiculous story about him and mules.
But you were the one that started talking about him dating the mule.
Yeah.
Actually, the first mule breeder in the United States was George Washington. Thank you very much. Do you know the toast of the French cavalry?
Or Mr. Ed.
Do you actually know the toast of the French cavalry?
Why would we?
It's aux femmes, aux chevaux.
What?
My
wife, my
aux
woman,
chevaux.
the woman, the horse.
It's aux femmes, aux chevaux, and aux les hommes qui montent les deux. It's to the women, to the horses, and to the men who mount them both.
Yes, I know what that means. That's awful.
One. I like that one.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci backups.
Tu es le meilleur. Merci beaucoup pour ça.
We also need to learn the French hand salute.
Yeah.
Made famous in 2 world wars.
And many other minor skirmishes. I need to defend the French, damn it. My mother's French.
Good luck. Rot's a ruck. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome for your history lesson. And for your Big Pick 4 Week 14 picks, we will now have the recap being your Steelers and Chiefs as your combined. Oh, no, I'm sorry, your Steelers and your Saints as your combined picks, correct?
Yes.
And your Chiefs and Seahawks as your guaranteed picks. Any final comments on these great picks?
They better win, damn it. Otherwise, we're really screwed.
And again, my final comment is go St. Joe's Prep. Remember, it's -10. Take St. Joe's Prep. I think they're going to cover.
All right, I think
They have
you've
a
run
stud
this
running
joke
back.
into the ground here.
No, it's not a joke. St. Joe's Prep, -10.
We don't endorse betting on high school games.
St. Joe's Prep, man.
With minors involved, just like Ed Kuhn bets on.
That's right. As always, go out, place your bets on these winning NFL teams, and
Score with Big Pick 4.